Another beta. This is, I guess you'd call it a cousin of that Sony SL5000 I did a video on recently. It's a Zenith video director, and this is basically kind of a stripped down version of the Sony. It's top loading instead of front loading. It will only record in beta 3, and it will only playback beta 2 and 3. So in both playback and recording, it's less capable. But otherwise, it's the same. Tuner's the same. Clock and timer controls, record. The layout of these controls are a little bit different, this section here. But overall, still, it's basically the same machine inside. So the story is, I was given a machine identical to this that was from a friend's stepdad's shed, I guess, when he was going through his stepdad's old stuff. And it was in a shed. The tape inside was just completely covered in mold. Opened it up, it was in pretty rough shape, and I kept sort of procrastinating working on it, and then finally went, I'm never going to work on this. Gave it away for free, and then saw this pop up on the buy and sell, like a couple weeks after I gave away mine. And at first I thought it was the same one, but the pictures showed that it's different. So showing you here, there's a lot of spots on the top here. This almost looks like it was repainted, but it's not, because it's the same color as this plastic and this plastic here. But you can see there, it's chipping away. Actually, this might be repainted, because this is about the same color as that. Anyway, there's some sort of spotting effect that the other machine that I had didn't have, and I also didn't have this sticker. So I picked this up because, it's like a boomerang. It just came back to me. Gave it away for free, and another one comes back. And the guy I got it from was like, yeah, it's working. It's been in the family the whole time, and it was disgusting. Just utterly caked in years of dirt. I think it was being stored in the porch. But it worked. This one had the capacitors replaced. There's a bunch of different service tags on here. I would say at latest 1991, based on the service tags. And the electronics on this work great. It doesn't have any of the freewheel speed problems that I was having on the Sony. So this was properly repaired and calibrated when the caps were replaced. So first I can show the tuner, and I've never really experienced these switches going dirty, so I didn't clean them when I had it apart, which is unfortunate because if I wiggle the switch here, these switches are dirty. Sometimes I can get a picture. Maybe. Oh, you were working earlier. That channel works. Oh, there we go. Anyway, tuner's not what anyone really cares about. These are useless outside of my house nowadays. You can kind of see the circuit board isn't really mounted correctly. One of the holes that holds it was I guess the screws, the threading is stripped on them, so the whole board's kind of pushed backwards. So I can push this in. When I push that, it goes all the way in. Otherwise, it is a nice green VFD clock. This one is a slightly different color than the Sony. It's like a bright... The camera makes it look bluer than it is. This is a very green clock. It's like a nice, warm, almost yellowy green, compared to the Sony, which had a lens on it that made it look bluer. And the usual RF modulator, LEDs for play and pause, your transport controls, your counter, audio and video in, microphone in, camera pause, and the remote input, and your tracking. And again, beta 3 recording only. So this is a very basic low-end model. So let's see how it works. You can go and pick from any number of these movies to watch. I'm going to go with Coming to America. Classic. Now listen to this load. Wonderful. I think a bearing in there needs to be oiled. The picture is a little bit noisy, which is kind of interesting. You can see these little squiggly lines in there. It could be that this tape is just old and worn, because some of the other tapes I've played on here don't have that. Fast forward. Look at how fast it responds back in play. Rewind. That idler tire is a little bit worn, so rewind is not as fast on this as the Sony. Fast forward's nice and speedy. Pause is pretty decent. This is on beta 2, so you can't really expect, oh, there's not even color there. Can't really expect the best picture, but again, these beta machines tend to have better special effects on what's essentially a 2-head machine than a 2-head VHS would have with like SP. But yeah, look at that noise. I definitely didn't have that last time. I'm gonna try a different tape. Let's hear what it sounds like unloading and ejecting. It's like a brand new machine. Okay, let's go for another Eddie Murphy movie. Huh. Label fell off. Oh, we still have that noise. Ooh, look at the colors. I don't know why that sounds so bad. It sounds really bad. Interesting. You can see it's very similar to the SL5000. Your video and audio in, and they're just as flimsy and concerning as on the Sony. If I pop this little rubber cover off there, this only says captions, not PCM. I guess a lower end model. I don't know what would stop you from recording PCM audio on this though. I mean, I just didn't put PCM on the label, I think just because it's a lower end model, but I don't see what would stop you. Here's the label with that fantastic font that Zenith used to use. The tuner section, as you can see I have my cable hooked up to UHF, these old ones are separate. RF modulator switch. And here is where the beta 1, 2, 3 switch would be on a Sony, and it's just got a little plastic cover in there. Because as I said, this one only records in beta 3 and only plays beta 2 and beta 3. And of course this remote that came with the Sony will work just fine. Fast forward. Yeah, come on, rewind. Yeah, that idler is going to have to be replaced. Not quite moving. Is it moving? Barely. Let's try just rewinding. Yeah, I can get enough going there. Fast forward. Oh, much better. Yeah, so this will need the usual belts, but electronically, at least that capacitor issue doesn't seem to be present on this at all. Let's try a beta 3 tape. Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, I'm pretty sure this will be recorded in beta 3. And play.
DM with dextromethorphan for cough relief and an anti-hit.
Yeah, that looks like beta 3. Ooh, I don't really think I can show much of this.
This is Grey Cup 83 from BC Place, Vancouver.
As soon as you start working out, you start working up a thirst.
Interestingly, those lines aren't really present at all. Getting a bit of moire on the camera, but the picture on beta 3, at least on this beta 3 recording, is way better. So perhaps these tapes have just degraded. I do remember having some used VHS pre-recorded movies when I was young, you know, buying them at cash converters and those buy and sell places where you buy used movies that had a similar poor picture quality with those sort of vertical squiggly lines. So I wonder if it's just a degrading tape, because this looks fantastic.
It isn't a pop. Just one taste will tell you. Gatorade Thirst Quencher is different.
Significantly more cavity protection than ever before. Here's why. Teeth contain minerals. This is a magnified picture of a healthy tooth. Cavities start when teeth lose minerals. Colgate's mineral-building fluorides help replace lost minerals, so cavities can't start. Colgate toothpaste is recognized by the Canadian Dental Association. Today's Colgate, significantly more cavity protection.
Well, let me tell you that you...
1983. If anyone was alive during this and wants to comment on this game, I can't. But cool to find. I've been going through these old tapes, and there's tons of gems like this. Old Winnipeg Jets games, and this is the 1983 Grey Cup. For my American friends, it's Canadian football. It's like American football, but with slightly different rules and way lower pay. So I'm going to do this video a little bit differently. Up next is going to be all the repair e-bits of this. So instead of putting that first like I normally do, it's going to be kind of tacked on the end, even though I did it first. So enjoy. This one was super dusty, super gross. He said it worked. I was like, yeah, okay, it probably worked 10 years ago. But no. It works. Like, I blew this thing out with compressed air 5 or 6 times. It was disgusting. I'm still cleaning it. Everything's been taken off and is scrubbed down. This was probably sitting in a porch for years. Apparently it had been in the family, like the whole time. But, yeah. And what's cool about this one compared to that SL5000, the caps have already been replaced. So those extra caps I bought, well, I'll hold on to them for future if I ever find like an SL5200 or something. But yeah, this this thing works. The belts need replacing. I'm actually amazed it's playing because the capstan belt is so loose. Like, it's so loose. I have to do the same trick that I have to do on the SL5200 and just give this guy a little bit of a spin when it's loading the tape, because this is where it sticks. This belt for sure will need replacement. So I'm going to be ordering belts for both of these at the same time. This might end up being 2 different videos, so I don't know how I'm going to differentiate the two. Twinsies!
Now, here's John Cougar Mellencamp with his number 21 video hit, Paper and Fire.
Well, it definitely needs new belts. I'm actually surprised this is playing at all. I took a look at the capstan belt when I was inspecting the underside, and like, it's so loose. So very loose. Alright, got a new belt in here. It's nice and tight. I'm hoping it's not too tight. I didn't really have one that matched completely, but let's see. Great. That bearing is like super loud in there, but I don't know if I want to put anything in it for risk of getting oil or something on a belt or an idler. But it works. Rewind. Oh, wow. Can feel bearing there somewhere. Fast forward. And play. Guess I should probably turn the TV on. I guess I should probably plug this into the TV. This locks in so much better than the SL5000. I gotta revisit the SL5000. There's something that I'm missing. Maybe I don't have it adjusted right, or I tested all the caps before putting them in, but maybe one of them's out of spec. Maybe I done goofed. But this guy's working great. Loading great. There's this little, well, first let's start here. This prevents the big metal panel on the bottom from boop boop accidentally touching the circuit board. This Zenith has this one. It also has this one. But this one's not on the SL5000, the Sony variant. And this one is too long. Take a look here. So this might be hard to see. This is where the panel sits. This sticks out too far. So whoever worked on this years ago put one of these in, and there's clips to hold it. That's the crazy thing. This clips onto the board, but the Sony that had never been opened didn't have this. So I'm going to cut this down so that it doesn't bow out the bottom like it's doing. Much better. Now it's flush.